Land use plans for Lim Chu Kang will be refreshed, with the southern area being set aside for defence use in the future. Meanwhile, more farm clusters are planned for the northern part of the district in order to ramp up food production. Currently, there are no food farms in northern Lim Chu Kang. Instead, several of them are located in the south. Now, these include 5 sites said to be affected by the land use changes. The affected farms will continue operating until their leases expire, and thereafter giving way to the land that will be used for defence purposes. The Ministry of Defence says that this will create more contiguous terrain for training and operations. Now, the land in the northern Lim Chu Kang, previously earmarked for defence use, will be taken over for future agricultural developments. Authorities say that the changes are part of land optimization plans under the wider Lim Chu Kang master plan.
The key part is farming. Normally entails movement, a lot of the produce when they are harvested. And because generally it's very bulky, not very high cost items, having to move them further and further will just make it less and less price competitive. So clustering them together have many purposes. It will mean that we can actually build kind of like a hub for them, for us to be able to process and distribute this produce. And distance matter a lot.
Some affected Lim Chu Kang farm operators say they have begun drawing up plans to relocate. But for others, the future is less certain. Alexandra Anand with more.
The clock is ticking for some farms left in this part of Lim Chu Kang. One of the nation's 3 egg farms says it's been informed its lease won't be renewed after it's up in 10 years. It will be the second time it's had to move since it first opened in 1987. But this time, it says at least there's a longer runway to plan ahead.
We are forced to relocate, but then at that time there was less time for planning. It was more hasty. This being our 3rd farm, I'll say that we have a lot of expectations because there are a lot of new technologies, a lot of new sustainable ideas that we want to put in the new farm.
That could include upgrades such as solar panels. Discussions are now underway on where the farm could eventually relocate to, though no new site has been confirmed. But for another well-known name in Lim Chu Kang, the latest changes may mark the end of the road. Bollywood Farm's lease will expire at the end of this year. The farm had been granted 2 extensions before and is currently working with authorities in the hopes of another.
This place is a community project. It's not just for us, We grow a lot of things that no farmer grows. Agriculture is not just about growing food for people to eat. No, there's a lot of interconnected things. It's a big story.
She's planning to retire once the farm eventually closes. Relocation is not on the cards yet for the other affected operators as well, amid competitive bidding for land. Garn Aquarium and Gallop Kranji Farm Resort are instead focusing on securing more time before their leases expire. The aquarium and resort have less than a year left, while another agribusiness affected, Malaysian Feed Mills Farms, still has over 10 years to go. Authorities say farms may participate in future land tenders, and applications will be assessed on factors like production capabilities and track record.
Lim Chu Kang has been Singapore's farming district since before independence. Its role has evolved with the country's food needs. And here's a look back. Well, after separation, food security became urgent. As Singapore urbanized, Lim Chu Kang grew into a hub for poultry, vegetables and dairy. A turning point for the area came in the 1980s, when the government made the transition to agro-technology due to land scarcity. Pig farming was phased out, and the land was reorganized into planned farm plots and specialized sectors like egg production. By the 1990s, Lim Chu Kang farming had shifted to higher value uses like eggs, hydroponics and dairy. In 1999, an agri-biopark was set up for food safety and animal and plant health testing. Today, Lim Chu Kang remains central to Singapore's food resilient plans. The aim is to support more high-tech sustainable farms with northern farm clusters producing more from limited land. And for more, we have with us Professor William Chen. He's the Director, Singapore Agri-Food Innovation Lab at the Nanyang Technological University. Firstly, Professor, what exactly is Singapore trying to optimize with this Lim Chu Kang land use change?
Well, as we know, we only have about less than 1% of land for farming. Therefore, in order to really enhance our national food security, increasing productivity and enhancing efficiency in terms of farm production is very critical. So we see that this reshuffling of farmland is part and parcel of that in that direction.
So ultimately, when you talk about farming efficiency, is that saying that we're producing more food from the same amount of land?
Absolutely. If you look at what we are trying to do is actually not use more land, but incorporate technology and also incorporate this collective manufacturing, so that everyone, every farm will sort of integrate into the one side, but also adopting new technology developed under Singapore Food Research and Development Plan, so that the traditional, if we sort of talk about technology adoption for traditional farms, there's CapEx involved, is less efficient. Whereas when we talk about consolidating all under one roof, it's a lot easier to sort of plan and adjust to the need of the food security.
Now, has this land use reshuffle been long awaited, and what's being planned for this new area for agriculture?
Well, as we have heard, that there's this Lim Chu Kang master plan, which was announced in 2020. But due to COVID-19, among other reasons, there was some delay. So what we are seeing now is actually the implementation or starting of this Lim Chu Kang master plan in order to increase our farm productivity.
And what key considerations are there when relocating things like livestock and farms in southern Lim Chu Kang? Could it perhaps affect food supply resilience in the short term, you think?
Well, the good news about our local food production is that the eggs production has already exceeded the target. But having said that, when we talk about the egg farm, which is affected, which will be moved from the south to the northern part of Lim Chu Kang, they still have 10 years of land lease, so that it's not like tomorrow they have to move. So I think the government will work together with farmers to really plan, select a site, then set up infrastructure, and then move the thing over a period of 10 years. So it's not drastic, so hopefully the disruption will be minimized.
Now, with this land use reshuffle, could you see Lim Chu Kang gradually changing its image, the ponds, the kampong-like environment, and is that necessarily a bad thing?
Well, if we look at Singapore's story, I mean, we come from having pig farm to now only a few farms in the Lim Chu Kang area. Now we are talking about high-tech farming. So this concept of greenery infused with farm education could be changing as well. So we can maybe in future we can imagine that at a high-rise vertical farm in the northern Lim Chu Kang side, we can have a restaurant to cook the locally produced food, and then the school can also go there to have some education of the new way of farming. So it's still green, but it's different under different context, different perspective.
And with this new farming model, how do you think it will affect food security in Singapore?
Well, with all these fast-changing external environment factors, I think there's a really urgency for us to try our best to enhance our national food security through this current push for higher increase productivity through limited land. So grow more with less.
Well, Professor, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
And we've been speaking to Professor William Chen, Director at the Singapore Agri-Food Innovation Lab at NTU.